Next up, from the University of Colorado Boulder, MemprintDynamics.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert, and this is my colleague, Katie Ray, and we are
MemprintDynamics, commercializing a new membrane filtration technology that saves time, energy, and money for the purification industries. So a huge problem that the membrane industry has today is something called fouling. It's kind of similar to hair clogging up a drain. Over time, your filtration process begins to slow down. As this happens, the amount of energy that is required to keep this process going has to increase. At the end of the day, for instance, in the dairy industry, maintenance costs have to increase drastically because they have to take down the machines, clean out these membranes, or replace them, which then makes their productivity slow down and their profits decrease. However, MemprintDynamics has a simple solution to this. By imprinting texture onto existing membranes using nano imprint lithography, simply what we do is basically emboss it, and it causes ridges to form in the membranes. This allows for the clogging issue to be alleviated and improve the efficiency of the membranes.
But what's the big deal about membrane filtration anyway? Well, 30 years ago, the waste produced by just one large cheese factory was roughly equivalent to the sewage produced by 300,000 people. That's all of Boulder County. Today, thanks to membrane filtration, this waste is concentrated into protein concentrate and sold as a food additive and put into everything from candy bars, energy bars, to hot dogs and even baby food. So membrane filtration technology is not only good for the environment, but also the bottom line.
In 2013, the global market for membranes was $4.7 billion. It has a yearly growth rate of 7% in the US and 10% globally. Membranes are used absolutely everywhere. They help with kidney dialysis. They also help filter out the nasty chemicals and viruses from our waters and foods. They also help with pharmaceuticals, oils, gas, as well as with our wastewater. We will be primarily targeting the $100 million dairy industry within the US within the food processing market to start with. To initially understand how competitive this market was and if we'd have a chance at getting into it, we conducted a Porter's 5-force analysis to determine how much rivalry we had. We found that since the market is so segmented, our bargaining power of both our suppliers and our customers is relatively low. The other big thing is that we have patent-pending technology which will be able to help us alleviate the threat of new entrants as well as substitutes. The benefits of using our product is that we're able to drastically reduce the clogging via nano imprinting. We're able to increase the yield of these membranes by up to 60%. Overall, this will save all of the industries money, time, and energy. The other big thing that we have going for us is our competitive advantage. We don't chemically alter the membranes. We don't use new membrane materials, which will make it easier for us to get past certain regulations because we're not adding chemicals to things. We're also not redesigning filtration systems. So it makes it very favorable for companies because all they have to do is buy the membranes from us and put them in their current systems. Because all we do is we imprint the membranes that we get from a supplier and send them back to the industries. The other important thing that we have going for us is that we're seeking exclusive patent-pending protection of this technology.
So the intellectual property that exists on this technology is based on research conducted at the University of Colorado at Boulder. The university has filed 2 patents to protect the intellectual property created from the papers. Currently, the technology is not under negotiations with anybody. To enter an exclusive options would cost approximately $5,000 for the company and allow for a 6-month period to negotiate an exclusive license. Typically, an exclusive license involves paying the entirety of the patent fees, paying a percentage of revenue from the company, and some other miscellaneous fees. So barriers to enter the market are obviously getting the intellectual property from CU, but also overcoming government regulations in the market, in the industry which we initially want to target. For the dairy industry, that would be the FDA. Furthermore, we need to conduct further research and development, which is a significant hurdle to overcome, considering the non-insignificant task of imprinting membranes, and finally gain supplier agreements from the membrane manufacturers. Up to this point, this technology was made with a press-style fabrication, which is not scalable on a commercial level. To alleviate this, a team of mechanical engineering students from the university has successfully designed, built, and tested a device which will prove that the process can also be done with a continuous roll-to-roll. This was built on a minuscule budget of $3,000 by the university students and has shown initial success with imprinting a pattern.
So our go-to market strategy is we didn't want to start too small and we didn't want to start too large. So we were targeting the dairy industry for a couple of big reasons. The first one is that it's $100 million annually off of the ultrafiltration membranes which we are using. Now some of this cost does include their equipment, but majority of it actually comes from their replacement of the membranes. The other thing is that dairies have the hugest problem with fouling. And as we mentioned earlier, since we don't chemically treat our membranes, it'll be easier for us to get commercial approval through the FDA. Once we've established ourselves within this dairy market, we plan to expand outwards, and we believe that our technology is actually applicable to up to 40% of the global membrane market.
So we've established a number of milestones which need to be met in order to successfully commercialize this technology. First of which is further research within the university to prove that that membranes are fabricated. It's possible to fabricate these membranes on a commercially viable scale. So $180,000 NSF grant has been attained to do so within the university using the device which was built this past semester. So during the same time, it's necessary to establish a company in order to be eligible for SBIR grants and also to attain patent or the license agreement from the university. I believe by early 2015, given that the research is successful, we can attain $450,000 from investors and grants to build a prototype full-scale manufacturing device. By 2015, with this device built, we should be able to get the necessary investment to build a manufacturing facility centered around this device, hiring 2 engineers, 2 technicians, and running it in a 15,000 square foot facility. By 2016, we can either reach a positive liquidity event or expand the company further. Our financial model is based on this small-scale manufacturing facility. Within 3 years, assuming a 1% market penetration within the US dairy market, we found that it'll take 3 years with expanding the membrane penetration. It'll take 3 years to become cash flow positive. Thus far, we have attained, this technology is attaining funding from the Engineering Excellence Fund, National Science Foundation, and we hope to obtain further funding from the state of Colorado.
So the biggest risks that we face is manufacturing and entry to market. With manufacturing, it is really, really critical for us to be able to maintain tolerances over a large range for a very, very small scale. So how we're going to mitigate this is through our university research and utilizing some of the resources that we have at CU with some of the manufacturing facilities. The other big thing is entry to market. We want to start small and expand outwards to hopefully help alleviate this problem. We also really want to partner with dairies early on to help get a foot in the door, as well as maybe they can help us along with manufacturing techniques. So our team consists of 3 students, 1 advisor, and 1 mentor. Each of us have a background in engineering, business, nano-imprint lithography, and manufacturing. However, as we continue to expand, we need to gain new talent, especially in the areas of fundraising and general business. So come help join us with improving efficiency, purifying more, and being cleaner and greener. Also, with our membranes, since they are more efficient, you can help us make a positive impact by reducing waste, cleaning and filtering, saving energy, and ultimately helping save lives and the planet. So please move forward with MemprintDynamics.
So excellent, very good. There's one thing you said, Katie, and it put my hair stood up, and maybe I misunderstood it, but it's kind of scared me. You quickly said something about getting FDA approval. Can you talk about, is there an FDA approval process that's required? You got to get that stamp. What is that? What did you mean by that comment, I guess?
All right, so the dairy industry and a lot of food processing industries are unique, that the FDA doesn't conduct its own research, but allows the industry itself to conduct its research, submit a report whenever there's a change in manufacturing processes, et cetera. Our technology does not chemically alter the membrane at all. This is physically just putting a texture on it without putting anything new material. So we have an advantage compared to other ways to mitigate this problem in that we don't add chemicals, making it easiest to obtain this approval. However, so that's pretty much there.
So how long does it take? You know, how long does that process take? Does it cost money? Do you need lawyers? How do you have to do additional research?
We would need to do additional research. However, as I stated earlier, the dairies do research into changing their manufacturing processes, adding new chemicals to their milk, that kind of stuff, as well as adding new materials to their current existing processes. So again, we don't change the membranes. Therefore, it'll be easier for the membranes.
Okay.
Is there an industry you could focus on that's different, that wouldn't require FDA approval? Why dairy?
Well,
maybe I missed it. Maybe it was in there.
Dairy is unique, or food processing in general is unique, that membranes can be sold, or membrane manufacturers still sell rolls of membrane as opposed to having them in their proprietary cartridge form. A lot of industries, especially biomedical and water desalination, have their own proprietary systems each manufacturer, and it's very difficult to obtain membranes for commercial purposes versus research purposes.
So if let's assume you can get FDA approval, you can build the membrane, the market's $100 million. How do you capture the sales of that market? How does that market purchase its filters? It's all centralized to one spot, you have it, and magically they throw out all their filters and you get $100 million in the market? Is that how it works?
Almost. Dairies, by convention, replace their filters once a year, regardless of how worn they are. And each dairy has hundreds, actually thousands of square feet of the filter that they replace yearly. And there's only 264 large dairies in the United States which do this, so that market is a huge market considering that there's only less than 300 players that really make it up. While yes, the $100 million does include the equipment that is being sold as well, you generally don't replace your car every year. You put new gas in it pretty much. So a large percentage of the market is the membrane replacement.
And how many different membrane manufacturers address that market?
So a big thing that we were speaking with a couple of people at Coke Membranes, what they do is they have a company beside them that takes a bunch of different membranes out on the market and they do a lot of testing on them. And at the end of the day, they do a report that says this membrane is more efficient than this membrane. And we've been talking with them and understanding what we need to get to them to help test and get our product through approval through them. So if we can get their approval showing that we can get up to 60% yield, then they help and say, oh, this is the membrane we recommend to you and that we want you to use in your systems throughout different areas.
So how many other industries is this applicable to? So how much bigger can you get?
Oh, this industry is huge. As I mentioned earlier, so it's not just dairy, it's also all types of food processing. You can do water. And with this technology, it could be applicable to other types of the filtration, not just ultrafiltration. So we can probably capture, like we said, 40% of the global market for things in the oil and gas and biologicals, pharmaceuticals.
So is it a potential licensing strategy versus a pure on?
Yeah, our ultimate goal really is to reach a positive liquidity event and license this technology to the companies that make the membrane straight up. But in order to do this, you need to have sufficient validation that, hey, we're out here, look at this awesome patent, look at this awesome technology that our company has developed around this patent.
Yeah.
License it from us, buy it from us, buy our company. That's pretty much what the ultimate goal is.
Have you actually, do you have any data to prove that your membrane is better than the competition, or how does that stack up?
Yes, there are the 2 research papers published by CU which have successfully imprinted these membranes and shown a drastic increase in productivity via a decrease in fouling.
And the other reason why we also decided to go with dairy is that this was originally tested using dairy products. So they would filter it out using the regular bovine, and that's how they got their results, and that's what the paper was partially published on.
Yeah, the standardized bovine protein distillate
Yep.
was used in the paper for.
What are your skill sets? What are each of you? What's the team made up here?
Well, I'm an aerospace engineer, as well as I have some background in business, and I work really closely in manufacturing. That's my job right now.
And I've been working with Professor Pellegrino in both an independent study, and I was actually the project manager that built the prototype small-scale research apparatus this past semester using that minuscule budget. I mean, $3,000. Originally, our budget was $1,500, but then I applied for the EEF grant, the Engineering Excellence Fund, and got another $1,300.
So are you graduating this year or
Yes, sir.
this spring? All right. And Katie, you're graduated?
Yep, I just graduated in December.
Okay. Who else is on the team?
We
Is it
have,
just the two of you?
no, we have one more member. He's currently still enrolled in school, and he is a mechanical engineer along with Robert.
Has the technology actually been transferred? Do you have an entity now that controls the technology? Because this was a tech transfer.
It is in the tech transfer process right now, and we have done preliminary discussions about, again, just getting the money to get into an exclusive option, really convincing Professor Pellegrino to pursue this route, et cetera. But Professor Pellegrino is the one that really to.
You guys said you had 2 patents. Are they pending? And what was the process you went about getting those patents?
Say the last part again?
Patents.
Well-
You said you had 2 patents. Are they pending?
Yeah, the university has 2 patents pending on technology, I believe. I believe one of them is I believe both of them are by definition provisional patents at the moment. And I can't remember. There are 2 different stages. One of them is, I think, a provisional patent, the other one is pending for a regular patent.
Okay.
And what's some of the competing technology that's out there? Are you aware of any?
Yeah, so some of the big ones that was the competitive advantage that we had over them is that they are trying to find new materials to do this with and new chemicals, and that's where we wanted to differ from them. The other thing is they tried to design whole new systems, so whole huge mechanical systems to help alleviate the clogging a little bit faster by pushing more material through with pressure and stuff. And so that's why we differ, is because we don't make companies have to buy a whole new system. They're just buying an imprinted membrane, so they can keep their same system.
I'm going to go back to the patent, sorry. I don't understand how the collegiate patent thing works. So how do they file a patent? Maybe this is a bit of offline comment, but offline conversation, but just wanting to get an idea around the strength of those patents. Never mind, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
How does a dairy deal with a fouled membrane at this point? Is there just a cleaning procedure, or how do they do it?
Well, by definition, dairy, or just the way the dairies work is in the morning, they start their equipment, they run it all day. By the evening, the membrane is fouled completely. They shut down the process before 5 o'clock, basically an hour early or so, run it backwards, run chemicals through the system to sterilize it and clean everything. With this technology, another value added is that these membranes are a lot easier to clean, so they can save time at the end of the day when it comes to cleaning their membranes as well. So not only are the membranes less clogged at the end of the day, they're easier to clean off.
So the ROI is based upon the less labor necessary to clean the membranes.
And less labor, and also they get better yield at the end of the day, 60% increase.
So what's the payback time on the investment that they make for your technology?
Well, in our business plan, we assumed a 30% premium, which we got from discussing with players in the market. And we actually haven't been able to get concrete enough data yet to figure out the payback, but it would be relatively quick. Definitely worthwhile for the dairies.
And are these dairies well capitalized? Are they big operations, or are they kind of small mom and pop farm type of operations?
The small mom and pop dairies don't have the technology in their systems. However, adding something like this might lower the overall cost of running such a thing, so they might be targeted. But the 264 dairies that make up the primary of the ultrafiltration market, those are the ones that we're targeting, the large dairies, stuff like Leprano Foods or.
Are you working with the local guys like Horizon or anybody? Are you working in the field with any of the local big dairy producers or dairy producers?
So we've had conversations with Leprano. That was our big one, and they're the ones who, when we told them what we can give them, that suggested that they would buy it with a 30% markup.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Great job.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Good job.